It is 4:45 in the morning. I usually wake up a little bit later than this. So I thought I would take the extra time to talk about the incredible experience I just had while I was asleep. For the first time in my life, I was able to have a very long lasting, stable, lucid dream. And while I'm making this video to record my own achievement for myself, since I'm probably putting it on a public platform, let me clarify what some of these things mean. Starting with a lucid dream is a dream where you are aware that you're dreaming, but it's not. There are 7 criteria for it. You could Google it, and being aware that you're dreaming is one of them. So basically it is like this. You can feel things, you can see things, but it's slightly different, and I would tell you from my experience today how a dream world is different than the real world. I put quotation marks on the real one because when I woke up, for a while, for a couple of minutes, I could not believe. I did not know whether there was a real way to tell whether this is a dream. But after I woke up and after some time had passed, all my memories of this place and what I do here and um, where I'm going in time and my trajectory, etc., all came back, and I became fully online, and then I wasn't doubting it anymore emotionally, whether this is the real world. Rationally, there is always the Cartesian, Descartes' argument about whether real world can never be considered real, but I won't go there now. So, lucid dreaming. Now, it's not my first time being lucid in a dream. It might be my 70th time now, and it's been 11 years since I have started trying this art of lucid dreaming. So that this is what makes what happened today an achievement for me, a milestone, a very significant one, because achieving lucidity is different than having a stable lucid dream, a long lasting stable lucid dream. And let me clarify the difference for you. The very first time I became lucid in a dream was the day that I heard about lucid dreaming. So some of you would become lucid today, but only slightly. My first lucid dream, I realized I was dreaming, but then I could only access this search engine. That was only for 10-15 seconds. And this has been in general a trend for my other lucid dreams as well, where none of my lucid dreams have lasted longer than 30 seconds. And this is what happens in my particular case. I realize that I am dreaming, but then immediately, even within seconds, most of the times, the dream world that I am vanishes to nothing. And then I'm imagining things, and like I'm trying to, let us say that I am cycling down the road and then I realize that I am dreaming. The world vanishes, but then I just continue to hold on to the lucid dream because it's exciting to have a lucid dream, and then I don't want to lose it. But then I can't see anything, and then I imagine that, oh, I'm still going on the road. But that doesn't feel too different than, daydreaming. So generally my lucid dreams tend to end like that. They end either the moment I learn that I'm lucid, but often I have been able to explore the dream world that I was in, but not for long. And I was stressed always stressed that it would fall apart, and I would always be in a hurry of flying or swinging like Spider-Man and so on. I was 15 when I started lucid dreaming. So that's what makes those dreams, those 50 or 70, I stopped counting around 50 dreams, different than the one that I had today. Initially, in my first years, when I was 15, I was using many techniques to induce lucid dreams. There are various. You wouldn't believe how many techniques. You would think that this is a subject which is, this is extremely hard to achieve, a lucid dream, but then there are so many techniques, and some of them will work, some of them won't work. You just have to keep trying, and you have to be on the forums, and there are lots of procedures here. Now, events leading up to this lucid dream, people, those of you who are into this game would immediately start asking me things like whether I'm writing a dream journal, whether I'm taking any supplements, or whether I did the wake back to bed method where you wake up after a certain period of time and then you do this. Like, ideally, this is what they do. Around this time, they go back to bed after spending half an hour or so awake, so that they get the REM phase, which is rapid eye movement phase, which is more pronounced towards the end of your sleep, around morning hours, where dreams happen. And I don't know how it works. Maybe you activate some part of your brain, but then you go back to sleep, and then you are more likely to dream. And this actually works for me the best. Wake back to bed method. It doesn't work every day, every time I try it, so I have to keep trying it, and sometimes it works. And in the past 2 years, I have not been trying too hard for a lucid dream or so. So whenever I have became lucid in a dream, it was because I got up to pee or something and stayed awake for a little bit. But also, I would just gain lucidity randomly in a dream. So today I would tell you about how I became lucid. I would first tell you a series of dreams that led up to, for no reason, that led up to the lucidity. And then I would tell you what happened in my dream. Really, it wasn't a dream because things weren't happening to me. There were no random things. I was it was like this. It was more like a space that I was in, a life that I was in. So I can't recall it as a dream because it was a real life experience. I could touch things, I could go where I wanted. It was also somewhat boringly like real life. Like, I had to put on my pants to go somewhere because I was wearing towel to begin with, and that's a little bit boring for a lucid dream. Okay. But then let me count the first dreams where I had no control. Things happened and events happened, even though they were inside my head because I was dreaming. Uh, of course, these people and all, they were different. Let me start. Which one do I start with? I think the first one would be something like Sukhdev Thapar, the Indian revolutionary, who was hung for his anti-government activities, conspiracy to overthrow the rule of the King George of Britain, whatever. And he was here this time, except now, I was aware that he's dead. So I was saying that this is an equivalent character to Sukhadev. And the reason I was saying that because he had killed some Indian corrupt politician or something, or some person like Rangde Basanti. And I was trying to say, oh, this is the similar person. And somehow I had access to his life, and it turned out that I'm not sure if the character had changed at this point, but he had gotten married and his wife was extremely complaining about her living situations. And initially I thought, yes, of course, patriarchy. But then I was able to access this. I was in his experience of these things, and then it turned out that his wife was unreasonable, something like that. And then in the next dream or whatever, I was with Chang, a character from Community, who had connected to VPN in Germany, or we were in Germany, and then he was texting in Korean to some friend of his that he's in Germany or somewhere and he would like to meet up or something like that. And apparently he was also an apprehending criminal. Is it the word is apprehending? No, not apprehending. The word is absconding. He was also an absconding criminal. And I explained to him, bro, yes, you have put the VPN and you are writing in Korean in some Duolingo app, and you think that the cops won't trace that. They might not, but the best way the cops would find you is through your friends. So they might have talked to your friends and the friends of your friends to contact them if you contact them. So this is how you get caught. And then he showed me his Duolingo, and he had done 3 sections of Spanish on Duolingo. And then it clicked me, wait, did you just do these 3 sections of Spanish on Duolingo and then go to teach Spanish in your community college, Greendale, which is a fictional college. And he said yes, and I thought, wait, I could do this. But then, yeah, there's no glory in teaching in college where someone with such low qualifications can teach, or something like that, I said to him. And I know I'm wasting your time. Let me just waste your time a little bit more with the next dream. There's a friend of mine. I almost said his name. It's irrelevant. And for some reason, he sat down. We were sitting at the mess table. He sat down next to me, and he had this habit of talking very loudly. And in my dream, not in real life. And he was talking very loudly, and then I also started talking very loudly. And there's a person next to us, like an older person. He also started talking really loudly. So we got embarrassed and we started talking normally. And that person turned out to be some security guard with some life experience or something, and we listened to him like that character from Crime and Punishment that Raskolnikov meets in the first few pages. Then I was returning back to my hotel room, and then I returned to my room on the 4th floor, and there was some bed creaking sound as if two people were engaged in some sort of activity. But then there was nobody there, and then I realized, wait, this is not my room. My room is actually on the 6th floor. This is what the dreams do to you. They retcon your memory. Retcon is a word used in discussions about movies, sequels of movies, where they didn't intend on putting the characters or some events that they later reference in the earlier films, so they pretend that some random unrelated event in an earlier movie was actually a reference to a future movie. For example, in Iron Man 3, this billionaire saves a kid from some villain or whatever, and that kid is just a random kid, but later on they said, oh, that was actually Peter Parker, that kid grew up to be Spider-Man. So dreams retcon your memory like that. I thought that this is my room, and since it turned out that this is not my room, my mind immediately told me, wait, my room was always on the 6th floor, now go to the 6th floor, don't question this. So then I'm climbing the stairs, and this is where I gain my lucidity. I'm climbing the stairs, and I can see for some reason, number of the floor on each step. And I climbed to the next floor, and then I was climbing to the 6th floor from the 5th floor, and I'm still seeing the 4th floor. And I thought, wait, that can't be true. This is not true. I already climbed the 5th floor. And at this point I gained lucidity, and the dream disappeared. Here is where I did something interesting, which I have always been afraid to do. I said, bro, trust me, just get up. Yes, just get up. And this might sound counterintuitive, because if you just gained lucidity, you don't want to wake up, but you can't wake up so easily. There is the dream world, and then there is this simulated bed and sleeping conditions, and then there is the real body and bed and everything. So you generally, when you lose lucidity, you wake up here. You don't wake up here, you wake up here. You think that you have woken up, and in fact, the moment the dream disappeared and I could see only whiteness, I could do this with my hands on the bed, and I could feel the bed. Probably not the bed I was not the simulation of the bed that I was in. I could feel it, and then what I did was incredible and a little bit scary. I turned to my side, and not intentionally, I just turned to my side, and in real world I would have fallen off the bed, but I did not. I kept falling, and then I didn't keep falling, I was weightless suddenly, and I rotated like this, and then I planted my feet on the ground of the new dream world. So this is something that I have learned through my previous failed attempts at sustaining lucidity. Becoming lucid is something that I randomly keep doing often, but I always lose it, and then there is this stage where I'm afraid that I have woken up and I don't want to wake up, but indeed I have not woken up. I can feel the bed, and sometimes this is called false awakening. You wake up and you see the bedroom that you usually sleep in, and then you think, oh, I've woken up, and then ironically you lose your lucidity. and I would go into it maybe a little bit later at this video, to talk about how when we are awake, we are actually not in our thoughts. The thought processes that diverge and you keep thinking is similar to how it is when you're falling asleep or dreaming. So daydreaming and dreaming is related, in my opinion. Okay, so where was I? Yes. So it was important for me to say to myself, no, this is not the real world. This is not a real awakening. Just get up get up. Yes, that is what I said. This is not real. Just get up from the bed. But I ended up falling from the bed and then again going into the next dream scene. But this time I was in control of the whole thing. But not like God. And let me explain to you what this means. I was in a world like this, and in real world, not some alien world. I was in fact on the top of the terrace of my childhood home initially, and the world was extremely real. It felt very real, with certain differences, and I would come to it in a minute. What visual differences there were, but textile differences were non-existent. I would feel the wall exactly like I would feel here. I would feel the leaves of the plants, etc. exactly. The visual differences I would come to in a bit. Now, uh, in this, first I was happy that I have a stable dream, and I knew this was a stable dream. It wasn't going to collapse so easily. And this is the weird part about this lucid dream. While it was, I don't know, must have been 10 minutes, but I don't remember it like a continuous memory segment. And I remembered many things of it like you do in a normal dream, where you remember chunks of events that happened in it. So I would move on to the next chunk that I remember, looking into a mirror. And this is important in lucid dreaming because what you see is as what they talk about in the movie Matrix is the referential self-image. When you look at the mirror in a dream, it really tells you about how you look at yourself, is what is supposed to be. So the first time I looked in the mirror, I was a little bit fatter. I had face fat, and I was like, wait, do I still see myself like that? But then that mirror got very cloudy with, like, when you clean a mirror with some soapy rag and then you don't clean it properly and it just becomes white, like something like that. I couldn't see myself properly, so I moved aside and then I could see a different cleaner mirror and then I could see my face. And I remarked that, wait, this is how I look in real life. There are no distortions. My hair was a little bit more synthetic, sort of, so it didn't feel as real, and that may be just an oddity of this particular dream. My face looked good. I mean, looked good as in looked the same, realistic simulation of my face right now. And often in dreams, in non-lucid dreams, I have some problem with the face. Maybe I'm bald. Maybe I have too much facial hair or something like that. But there was none of this. I looked like myself. And the ends of my mustache and this space here, it looked a little bit AI generated. I didn't think that. I'm just using this word to describe it to you. That something about the ends of my mustache seemed like simulated and not real. Something was like AI generated. And I forgot to look at what I was wearing. Must have been a black t-shirt, that because more than half of my wardrobe is black t-shirts. Okay. Next thing I remember was this childhood home transformed to the home that my parents currently reside in, and I spent some time in this place. And I did not talk to any people there, but I was aware of them, and I could touch the wall which has been painted, and then I could feel it. And I would do this every time I would start feeling like, oh, I'm losing the dream. And this is where I would talk about the visual aspect. See, if I looked in a dream, which I didn't try, next time if I gain lucidity and stable lucidity, I would try. See, when I'm looking at a still image, everything is realistic, and that you would have in a dream, I think. But the moment you do this, in with our eyes, when in our vision and our mind, when we move like this, we move from image to image, and the images that between these two frames, they are sort of a blur, and your mind doesn't really try its best to fill those in, because it's real life and there are real photons coming from there, and you don't have to really fill in those gaps. But in a dream, that movement is not as fluid as this. While I was seeing everything in HD, perfect, full HD, whatever clarity, moving my head was not a very realistic experience. Okay. And then I decided, oh, I'd go out. And I was wearing a towel, so I needed to put on a pair of jeans. Such a boring thing to do. I mean, I couldn't just say, oh, pants. No, I didn't have that power. And at some point, maybe I should be glad that I don't have that power, because that means that the dream is more stable. So I went to my bedroom to put on some pair of pants, and while I was there, I realized that I have to pee. But I said, oh no, I'm not doing that. Every child knows that you don't pee in a dream toilet, because you pee in the real bed. So I didn't pee. And then I was out of the house, and then I couldn't fly. I tried flying, but then I could maybe stay in the air for some part of like 2-3 seconds, but I could not just take off. That would have required really for my mind to simulate things that have never happened before, like seeing the world from above. But it's not impossible. I have done it before. I have flown and I have swung like Spider-Man in my earlier lucid dreams. But in this dream, it wasn't possible. Like in the Matrix, Morpheus tells Neo that this is a simulation and some rules can be bent and others can be broken. You can't be God. Neo could be God, but the others could not be gods. But since they knew that this is not air they're breathing, these rules are not real, the world is not real, they could do incredible things like jumping from very tall buildings to tall buildings far away and so on. So similarly, I could bend reality a little bit, but I could not really be the owner of it in this dream. Now the next thing I remember was there was a road, and then there was a girl whose house was there, and she was the owner of this house or something. And I remember talking to her. And at that point in her garden, I started losing my lucidity. And I think I spoke to her. I think I was tying my shoelaces at the entrance of her house by the time we had some conversation. I was leaving, and she was sitting on a stool like that. And then we were discussing casually about, oh, you're losing lucidity, I mean, not lucidity, I wasn't losing lucidity, I was losing the dream. I couldn't, the definiteness of that world was going away. And at some point, interestingly, she realized that she is not real, she is a dream character. And this was not just her realization, it was also my realization. Usually in dreams, you meet a dream character and you assume they're a complete person of their own and not a simulation of a person that your mind has created. And we both, I mean, since she was a part of my mind, she realized, oh, so I'm also not real. And the next statement, I don't know where it came from, that she would die when I wake up. But it wasn't that it was an existential crisis for her, like you would talk to a non-playable character NPC in a video game and you convince them that they're not real. They would have a problem, but she didn't have a problem with that. She was like, oh, okay, I'm not real. And yeah, about that, I stopped that lucid dream, and then I had a normal dream after that, where a friend of mine was explaining how two of her cats stole half of her birthday cake or something like that. She was showing me a video, but I was not lucid during that dream. And then I woke up, and when I woke up, I finally knew, wait, okay, I woke up in the bed that I always wake up in. And now, yes, as I told you already, it was as if I could not tell whether, wait a minute, is this real now? Because I have already been through this just a while ago. I woke up and it wasn't real. Okay, fine. I'm not too late. Yeah. I'm not late at all. I have a entire morning schedule. Wake up at 5 every day. Okay. Um, I don't know how long it has been. 30 minutes. Okay. Almost 30 minutes, something like 25 minutes. I've went to analog, like even this clock is analog, that clock is analog. So oh wait, that clock is ahead, but then I checked time in that clock only when I started making the video. I wanted to write this initially as an article, and I might still write it as an article, but then it takes much longer to write an article than to just speak about the experience. And while the video gives me more freedom to use my hands and facial expressions, um, you could edit an article, you could rewrite it, and you could add different things to it. And since you write it slowly, you remember a lot more things that you wanted to talk about. And here I wanted to really also talk about the idea of the Matrix, the movie. I recently saw the Matrices and probably that influenced this event. And as for supplements, I did take Tugger, uh, but that I take for a calm sleep, and that might have led to the uh, lucid dream. But otherwise, I can't predict what really helped, because I do get random bouts of lucidity, but this time I managed not to lose it. I haven't even brushed my teeth, and obviously I haven't showered, so I don't know how I look in the video. Okay, that's it. Thank you.